This is Out Loud and Laughing. What is up, chosen fam? Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Today, we are sitting down with a man who is the living blueprint of what happens when you completely blow up the life you were supposed to live to finally find your truth. He went from the hyper-conservative hallways of Liberty University to becoming a corporate wellness powerhouse, the founder of My Best Stress, and Gen Z expert with a PhD from Purdue. Just wow. And a proud gay dad navigating it all with radical honesty. Chosen fam, please welcome to the pod, the incredible Dr. Chris Biddix. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you guys? Thank you so much. That bio sounds like Velvet Rage if I ever heard it.
Hey, you got to take your flowers, my friend.
You have
Uh-huh.
to.
Uh-huh. It is crazy to hear out loud. Like
Yes.
to hear that story. I remember when I met my now fiance when he said, Chris, you've lived 9 lives. And like he can't keep track of any of them, and now I can't like blame him for him.
It's been validated.
Well, Chris, we're super excited. Welcome to the show. We're so hyped to have you here. Before we get into any of the heavy lifting leadership and wellness stuff, which we definitely are going to dive into, we need to talk about your journey a little bit because it reads like an award-winning memoir, right? Our chosen fam is getting to know you for the first time, and so are we, so we're super excited. You've mentioned that your story is really about learning how to show up with honesty when life doesn't look quote unquote normal, right? So for anyone listening who is currently stuck in a box they don't fit into, take us back to that turning point. What did that day look like when you decided to choose your authenticity over your old life? Because we all need to hear it.
Yeah, I think the biggest change happened in July of 2024. So it's pretty recent. Pretty
Yeah.
recent. That was a conversation between me and my ex-wife, where we reached a point together. And her line was, if it's me and the kids you're worried about, I need you to know we'll be okay. And
What a
that
beautiful woman.
line really was the freedom, the release that I needed, because they were the ones, if you have a family, those are the people that you care about so much. Now, I was with her for 11 years. We were married for 10. And when we say like blow up life, if anyone's life blew up, it was theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a 4-year journey for us, a 4-year journey that started with me coming to terms with my own mental health and how it was being impacted. I think that is really the second turning point. So the first main one, the last kind of send off was her permission, her confidence in herself to know that we could work this out and do it well. I think the turning point before then was a few months before when her and I started talking about ways that we could make it work. And one of the things that was on the table was, um, you know, me being able to explore things that I
Mm.
hadn't before and kind of have that permission. And I won't get into the details of that. It's personal to her choices and ours and our marriage at that time. But I appreciated that. And I remember for the first time experiencing a chemistry. And I had to find the right words. It was a really tough conversation, but that turning point sounded like, what I just felt, I wish that you could have, that I
Mm.
know that I've never felt in my life before. And that's when you realize, like, I can love a person, I'm going through the motions, and then you realize what the chance and the beautiful thing that love is, that everyone you wish could get to be a part of, that I now get to have so luckily and so quickly, and feel so loved. And then the big turning point before that one was the 4 years before when we recognized the impact on mental health. We were about to have our second child, and I said, if we go down this journey, I'm scared of the answer we're gonna get.
Mm.
And she said, we'll handle that when we get there. And so really, you make a best friend in a partnership. And she saw me, and she gave me that freedom. And it was years prior to that we started to deconstruct maybe the faith, the conservatism part that was really key influencer. And it was earlier than that. I told her, I said before our marriage, I've been with guys before. I considered myself at that time bisexual. I used that term. Or in the conservative Christian community, we call it same-sex attraction. Um, we all have it, right? It's a spectrum. Mine was maybe further on the spectrum. But I
Was
said it
mine.
that way, and I said, but I she asked some questions, and then we decided it's what we wanted to do. And I think I thought going through that step, things would change. And then you think, oh, I'll move to this area and it will change, and I'll focus on this part of my career. We'll have my son and everything will feel different. And it just didn't.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I want to give accolades to the relationship that you formed with your ex-wife. The woman herself sounds like a dream in the way that she allowed you to find your authentic self. And similarly, like what you had mentioned to her about you should feel what I felt, like that's a gift. And
Yeah.
while it's hard to process, I think it's so important because we're taught to love other people, but I think, and I know that we'll get into this a little bit later, we're not taught how to love ourselves. And
No.
so for me, that felt like that journey. And thank you so much for
Mm.
being so vulnerable and sharing that with us, right? Because going from a traditional straight marriage and a hyper religious family background to living
Yeah.
out as a gay man is already a massive evolution.
Yeah.
But you
Right.
also have two kids watching you make this transition. How did
Right.
dad impact the way you handled the monumental shift?
Yeah. I think at first you're like, I can't do it now because of how much you're gonna lose. And you almost like, it wasn't even a question for many years. Like, no, no longer. I've committed. Commitment was really like marriage meant something to me in that way, and that commitment did. And so it was, you can't. I think the other pressure was not just the kids, but I was tied to a community that even if they wouldn't say it, even if they still have trouble saying it, uh, the gay community, homosexuality, it is a monolith to many of them, and they cannot fathom someone could be either have faith and be gay. They can't fathom that divorce would even be an option, but apparently, affairs are all,
Mm.
or whatever else goes on in religious communities too, um, with that. But all that to say, I really think that religion is a huge tie to unleashing that guilt, and that had to happen earlier on. Um, Knowing that my kids weren't raised like I was in the space that I was raised, and so the same maybe lens in which they would process a divorce or me being gay, wouldn't be the same. Their age, they're 6 and 4 now. They were 5 and 4 and 2 then. My thought was it's now or never. I met some guys who waited till they were, in their 50s, waited till their kids were 18, and, I couldn't. I couldn't imagine that, and then, it was how much was I gonna lose, and was I
Mm,
ready to lose that? And
yeah.
and if you have kids and a family, you slowly lose all your friends anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You end up with a really small group, and, I knew that some of them were gonna have a problem with this, and I lived in a really conservative, pocket of the suburbs of Chicago, just so happened where we ended up, and, I knew there were people that were gonna have a problem with this, and so I had to wait until I was strong enough, what I felt maybe financially, that they were set financially. We had owned a home, we had renovated that place, they were starting kindergarten, they had their community, and, it was a 2 to 4-year decision. But being a dad, I thought you had asked, it really wasn't one or the other, but it was primarily, I think, the last couple months of, I will be a better dad. I will be happier. I will show up differently. They will get to see and experience something different. And I was a DEI director at that time. I was, um, a father, and I was like, what would I teach my kids in this moment?
Mm.
And I met 2 guys who had gone through a similar situation a few years before me, and one of them said, "Chris, this used to be the thing I was scared of most, and the moment I made the decision, I felt the freest." And so, um
It's so powerful because you talk about losing something, but what you did is you gained something. You gained your true self. But also what you did, and I would love to maybe just talk about it quickly, is you kinda gained the ability to show your kids what real honesty looks like, which I think
yeah,
is important,
yeah.
right? So, as much as you fear what you're losing, if you stay true to yourself, you're actually gaining a lot more. And I
Yeah,
think that's powerful, right?
right, right, and I met a girl at a bar, maybe in August of last year, and I told her my story, and she goes, "I was 2 years old when my dad did that." And
See?
she was like, "Good news, I don't remember anything until I was, like, 7."
Yeah.
And I
That was
was
that was
like,
a good
"Alright."
yeah.
It's
That was a good
true.
universe, man. That was totally a
Right,
yeah.
right, and when she said that and she's like, "My dad remarried, he and his husband walked me down the aisle when I got married," and
And everything's fine.
"I've talked a lot with my mom about it recently," and she said and she told me, she said, "Your ex-wife needs to feel permission to make whatever decision she wants and needs right now, and you need to give her that grace." And so that challenge was good. Like, it's look, divorce is we don't need to romanticize it. Divorce is messy. It's hard. The relationship goes in its ups and downs, and we're both just doing our best on behalf of the kids. But um, yeah, being a dad, I think I lost a lot, and I think they did too. You know,
Mhm.
they have to transition a lot, but it will be a proudest moment in my life, and I'm getting married this summer to someone they love, a love that I never thought could have been possible for
Mm,
me,
There
and,
you go.
my mom sees that. It's been a journey for her, and I'm so proud of her, so proud of her, but she always talked about, like, my dad like that. I was like, "Ew, gross, there's no way," like, whatever, and, I don't know, just feeling that I had a picture of it that I thought was it, and
Yeah,
we, c-
and
we
it
could we could resonate with that. We just had an episode with my second mother, Brian's mom, for Mother's Day, and it was a really beautiful testament of the love that a parent has for their child. Y'all should go
and,
check.
like, what power they have over us till even, like, I'm a 37-year-old man, I'm
still
crying still of, like
Yeah.
I used to be a dean of discipline in a high school on the West Side when kids were getting suspended for something and their mom was just, like, crying. I used to play this power move where I was like, "Look at your mom. Look at your mom. She works all day. She
yes.
don't you ever make her feel like this again." I said, "Don't burn bridges with the people that you need, you know, the people that love you." And I said, "You'll need her till you're 37 at least."
At least. No, trust me, we're in our 40s and we still need ours. So
There we
it
go.
doesn't go away. But I think
Uh-huh.
what's interesting on the professional side is, you talked about a little bit, you were a DEI director. And I think it was in one of the most conservative school districts in Chicago, right? So
Yeah.
can we talk about that a little bit? Like it does feel
Right.
like a little bit of like a master class in navigating like
Uh-huh.
a stressful, high stakes
Uh-huh.
environment. I would have to imagine, A, how did you survive that? And
Yeah.
B, did it actually spark the idea from My Best Stress?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because people are like, "Oh, well, you know, if you're part of LGBTQ community, of course you're DI." I wasn't that, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was not out. I was still married with kids. I ended up, we finishing my PhD, right? Got my superintendent license. I had served in as an assistant principal on the West Side, overseeing. All of my background was not in white communities. In fact, the funny is MTV had a documentary called White People. They follow my best friend Sam on her journey as like 5 or 6 white people who lived in minority majority communities. So I had started my career on Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, where I lived for 3 years, and they followed her journey there. And um, it's such a funny documentary. Like just the line that I hate that's so cringe that's in there for me is like, I remember walking in the store and being like, I'm the only white person in here, and having that feeling for the first time.
Ouch.
And it sounds like white privilege at its finest, right?
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, that was not traumatic by any means.
That's
Not at
hysterical.
all. But I think, yeah, having that background, you know, having the background of sitting at the table with, you know, relatives who, you know, being from Southern North Carolina, conservative biblical views, you know, you just get used to what to say and what not to say at the Thanksgiving table. And, like, what things could set other people up, or you just learn the right language to do it. And so having worked there, working on the south side before of Chicago, traveled a lot, I really over time had just, you know, developed a lens for cultural intelligence, responsive practices, how to work across a line of difference. And so let's also be honest about DEI work. It was popular in 2020. People changed titles. This district had this position called something else. They changed the title. They bring someone in, a black woman, of course, because they set the path for this role. They really, I've learned a lot from several women of color who've served in this role before, and it's my boss. But she left saying this place is unsafe. She put it on her
Mm,
Twitter. And then they did an investigation, thought that the superintendent had set her up. They fired the superintendent.
Wow.
I get the call for the job, and she's like, "Chris, you have a family. Maybe don't take this." But that role had a lot to do with just helping support families who are struggling, kids who needed support in a district that's highly affluent. And he's got many different challenges. So I worked with staff on developing cultural responsive competencies. So like, what are ideas that school is not built for everyone? Like, hey, let's highlight mistakes. Until people understand that mistakes are okay, you don't feel psychologically safe to learn. That would be one of the examples. Or, um, you know, helping with classroom engagement and things like that. So
Yeah.
it was so weird to be in that role, and I had to constantly say, like, I'm the white guy as the director of DEI. Why does this make sense? How does this make sense? For them, it was palatable. They just, for that community, it was more palatable. They always highlighted my undergrad and never my PhD. And I was like, this is so weird. And I think to make the community less like,
He's
you
one of
know,
us.
investigated, they people kind of left me alone. They tried to keep me under the radar. Right. And then, Trump cuts DEI. That whole year, I'm like, we got to redo our copy. They're like, lay low. We got to do this for this presentation. Christian has to be campus. They really almost were trying to protect me, perhaps. But then they cut the role, redesigned. I was not
Yeah.
interested. It was interestingly around the time I came out, was going through the divorce. And so it was very difficult for me not to believe how the two were related. At the same time, I'm going through a divorce with a divorce attorney. I am against that school district for many practices. It's part of the journey of understanding that I was looked at different, treated different, and started to go through both, dealing with a cut in a job, a divorce, and family over that year. Really, that was the first year I was, out, and we were going through, us moving. And so new job, new community, you know,
It all
and its challenges, moving, all in the same year.
Yeah, that all sounds so stressful. I almost feel like you designed My Best Stress for
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah,
Can you
back to the question.
Yeah, no, listen, but here's the thing, right? Like, it's our life experiences that drive where we go, and I'm a true
Yeah.
proponent of that, but I'm so curious, can you just tell us a little bit about My Best Stress and what problems it's solving for the community?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, in working in schools, we, and I've trained a lot of teachers or trained teachers, you face kids who have challenges at home. At the end of the day, like, I've always worked across communities where there's been a lot of, trauma involved, the impact of socioeconomic, where school's not built for them. And so you have to train teachers on how not to take it personal. It is a very stressful job, as an educator. But what I realize is, like, you teach teachers these like 5 or 6 things, like this acronym or this like tool or this phrase to always use, but no one teaches parents these. And so when you're with your child and they're having a meltdown over something that's like, hey, someone stole a toy or whatever. I remember my son having a breakdown about something. I pick him up, I take him to the room, and my fiance, we were already living together. He goes, "What did you just say to him? How'd you know to do that? What'd you do?" And I was like, wait, like, it can be a really stressful experience. I mean, some parents have panic attacks just making pancakes while the kids need like carrots and
Totally,
juice and spilling stuff.
totally.
But those were 2 moments that helped me know this would fill a gap. But yeah, my own stress of what are my kids going through? Can I talk about? I was researching every day. Do you tell your kids? How much do you tell your kids? Now that I'm dating, do they get involved in that conversation? When someone moves in, do you tell them this? Um, so much stress in 1 year. And I thought doing my PhD, having my daughter and renovating a home was hard. And then you
Yeah.
added in all that 2 years later, which when it's impacting finances and your sleep, and like your community, these are main needs of a person. These are main needs for, if you look at what's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? There's 5. And so safety and belonging are really big ones. And when those are gone, um, I didn't have coping mechanisms for him. So I'm like double down on therapy. Shout out to my therapist. Like, really, he hates me. He's got to hate me. Every month I would be like, I'm coming, I moved, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He's like, stop making so many decisions
You're
in a
keeping
row.
him employed though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I need a new strategy. That one's not working. Like, what? I can eat a popsicle. I can, like, do I need to go out
I
3
need to
days a week
hug
now?
myself, yeah,
Hug myself, right? Paced breathing. Fuck
yeah.
that. No, I'm just kidding. It helps.
But I think what's interesting though is you with your TikTok and the consulting work, like you kind of turn traditional ideas of stress on its head, right? And so instead of telling people just to eliminate stress or meditate it away, you talk about shifting from a man in crisis to kind of helping a generation in crisis. And my question, because I'm so interested in this, because John and I are both professionals in the workplace, you have a PhD, right, from Purdue, and it's focused on leadership and even the Gen Z, like, you know,
Yeah,
population. What is the biggest myth about Gen Z in the workplace right
yeah,
now? And why are traditional leadership tactics completely failing them? Because
yeah.
people kind of want to know because everyone shits on Gen Z. I mean, they shit on
Mhm.
millennials before, which is us,
Right.
but now they're shitting on Gen Z and it's like they're just different. And
They
how do
are.
you motivate them? How do you work
Right.
with them? Like,
Yeah. And it's really the same with parents in My Best Dress, and that's why it's paired together. Even,
Yeah.
Gen Z teachers and Gen Z have to do with parenting and My Best Dress. For me, it's the lens of when advice fails you, all right, when it is deeply personal and connected, um, and honestly, when it's that stressful, there's so much cortisol going through your brain, you're not gonna make a rational decision, and no one's listening either. We're just fighting, it's not processing. And so similar to like a fire drill, you stop, drop, and roll, right? You have a lockdown drill in the schools. You have a tornado. You know the acronym to use in that moment that helps you for when you're stressed and you can't process everything. And so that was the idea here with Gen Z's in crisis, right? We talk about crisis moments emotionally in a home. You need something to apply there. And we talk about a whole generation who is in crisis. And really, the crisis they're in is like believing anyone. Like they will read everyone to filth. They know if it's authentic or not. He's sitting here studying Gen Z teacher satisfaction and like how to influence them. And we call it influence, but it's power dynamics. It's 6 ways to make anyone do anything.
Hmm.
Religion,
Indoctrination.
religion fits in there for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll even make you get married for a living. No, just, but it is it was fascinating to learn that people tell you, "Well, have a relationship. Relationships build trust." What if they don't? They actually don't for Gen Z in a lot of ways if you do it wrong. And so two of the things that came out of that study was the more you lean into a relationship, the more dissatisfaction they might have with their leader. And then second, the more the leader tries to lean into expert advice, the more dissatisfaction, the less you'll be able to influence them. And so that like blew my mind. I was like, wait, can people critique if generation theory is even real? Like, it's so nuanced. It's like someone's raised and cultural values. But at the end of the day, if someone's staring at a phone and having to read news on TikTok, Instagram, they know the difference between an influencer and a real post. They know the difference between an ad, between AI, a lot better, than the rest of us do. And so apply that to the human they're working with. The person.
Even Brian's kids know about ads. They're 4 and
Yeah,
6, and then they're like, "Dad, can you
skip
take
ad,
that off?"
skip the
You know?
And I
ad.
work in
Right,
advertising. So
Yeah.
I
right.
keep telling them, shut up because this is
Uh-huh.
what's paying for your food.
Yeah.
There you go. And do your kids like hate cartoons now? My son like went through this thing. He's like, "That's a fake one. That's a cartoon. I don't want to watch it." And I'm like,
Oh, no, we're not there yet, but they still watch
"No,
the crazy weird shit on YouTube Kids, and I'm like,
no."
"How are
I'm
you
like,
watching this?"
"Right.
But
I'll
yeah,
show you cartoons that gave us like, cataracts probably." Like we were talking about looking at Super Nintendo and like how did we even see those little Mario
I
characters? Like they were
know.
just something to
It's
mess
all we knew.
Well, and also I find it so interesting that they're so forward these days too. I was recently at a kid's birthday
Yeah,
party for a good friend, and it was low budget. This was no Hollywood Housewives party. And so they had hired a Spider-Man who showed up in like some Reebok kicks. And
yeah,
the kids are like, "Why is Spider-Man in tennis shoes?" And I'm
'Cause he
thinking,
has
yeah.
to walk.
But he has to look. But this is what he's got to do. He's got to acknowledge his shoes. That's it. If he starts with acknowledging what they were already thinking anyway, that's
That's
authentic
true.
leadership.
Get in front of it.
Yes,
"Oh,
the framing and over framing
So
what you
true.
think, and then you don't do it over personal because the moment it's over personal, right? They're
But
like,
that's not Gen Z. Like, I literally, because in my corporate world, going into an exec meeting, knowing what the hesitations are gonna be, just get in front of
yeah,
that before they bring up the hesitation.
yeah,
So it's 101. It's literally just
yeah,
like, I know what you're gonna shit on. I'm gonna get in
mhm,
front of it so you can't shit on it, and you don't
yeah.
get that
Well,
satisfaction.
exactly, and people need a minute to complain at the beginning. So, like,
Correct.
but those are 2 actually principles of adult learning, key principles of adults being able to engage psychologically within learning that are really true with Gen Z because they grew up saturated with media elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so they actually give a shit about how you treated someone they don't even know. And
Correct.
when they find out that lore, right, they already have judged you, discounted you. And so
Scarlet letter.
I used to start open meetings and ask people, I said, onboarding meetings. I said, when you're doing an onboarding meeting, you've got a lot of young staff, always start with, you're going to hear a story about me that you don't like. And I say, and guess what? I already know that story. I heard it, and I hope you'll give me a chance to be different than the one.
Get in front of it.
And so they see a news story across the world and it impacts them in a way that it didn't Oz. And so their reasoning for safety in that moment is about, can I trust you or not? Can I read you or not? Adults in that space, their reasoning is, I just got to get all this other stuff out of my head so I can even care to listen to you because I think you're wrong about everything you're about to tell me.
Oh
Uh,
man, Chris,
yeah,
we could honestly talk about this all day and
yeah.
learn from you because you're clearly brilliant. And thank you for the
Thank you.
passion that you're bringing to this new
Yeah.
generation. But we would not be out loud and laughing if we did not put our guests in the hot seat for a
Uh-oh.
minute. We love the deep talks,
No,
don't get us wrong, but it is time to get down to the nitty gritty. And we have a
that's right.
signature game
All
that we
right.
play with all of our guests. We're calling this or that, the stress tested dad edition, which I think
Oof.
fits perfectly.
Mhm.
We have
With
14
religious guilt.
you with religious skill. We have rapid fire questions for you, so don't overthink it. Just give us your gut reaction and don't be afraid to get a little gay and a little chaotic with it because that's what makes it fun. It's time for another round of this or that, the unhinged get to know you game. All right. I'm going to kick it off today. We're going to start with a little bit of your alma mater, right? So Purdue Gold or Liberty Red.
Purdue Gold. Purdue Gold.
That was so easy. See,
Didn't even think.
This
We're
isn't bad.
royalty. We're royalty.
This isn't
Yeah.
We're royalty and all the
Royalty.
trauma in Liberty Red.
You overcompensated.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you prefer the corporate boardroom or TikTok live?
Corporate boardroom. Oh yeah, give me a live audience. I struggle with social media. I am working on it. I'm getting advice from one of your former contestants, Jared. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Jared's great.
We love Jared so much, and we love that you guys are friends. Okay, the next one. Strict co-parenting schedule or just rolling with the punches?
divorce. We very much disagree with that one. I think
love
that
it.
you can be strict predictability within flexibility. They come over, we make a big whiteboard. What are all of our options today? Which ones are gonna work? Which ones are not gonna work? Because I'm a Capricorn and we're gonna be successful. And but also like you gotta be adaptable. Well, we can even put money signs next to it, like on Yelp.
So
But
true.
yeah. But what's important to me, we do one activity with each other as a group. We do one activity that you pick for you and your sibling or you and all of us. You get to do one activity with me, one activity with Matt, my partner, and then we close out watching a movie, cuddling, doing a puzzle.
I love it.
And secret here, head, heart, body. With young kids and stimulation, make sure it's a rhythm. So you do something for head, something for heart, something for body. Switch to the next one, or it's gonna be chaotic.
I always think you do something for head. I agree with that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. John also dates a Capricorn, so he's very aware of your
Oh, yes.
of you.
Of our knots.
Okay. Do you prefer scruff or no scruff?
Scrub.
Mm.
I even
I could
paid the
tell.
subscription. I even paid this. Oh, you weren't talking about the app.
Oh, listen, we get it both
No.
ways. You know, the
No,
app and the
but I
hair.
met my husband on Hinge, which was great.
Okay.
But yeah, scruff, of course. Scruff, of
I
course.
met mine on Grinder at 11 p.m.
I mean, look.
There's no right way to wrong
No,
way.
there's
It's
not.
just, you
There's
know.
not. On my first date with him, I even went up to him and I like pulled his shirt down a little, and then I went, just melted against the door.
Because there was hair.
There was hair.
Okay.
Scruff, like keep the scruff going.
I love it. I met mine on Grindr too, at 300 feet away.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you into are you into radical vulnerability or guarded boundaries?
Man, radical vulnerability like gets me fired a little bit, maybe. Like, it could. There's too much that people don't need to know that they start to look at me like you're unwell, and I'm like, I'm not unwell. I just trusted you and shouldn't have told you everything.
And you're actually the one who's unwell, but we won't.
But also, yeah, we're all unwell. We're all unwell.
Yeah.
So I'm a little in between. But if I have to pick this or that, I'm still always going to lean towards radical vulnerability.
Yeah. Okay, are you a butt guy or a chest guy?
Both, like one hand at each. No,
I get
but
it. I get it. Like a good
but
hug.
chest, shoulders, like
Mm,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I thought
Mhm.
you were going to say divorce again.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Are you appreciated by Gen Z or respected by boomers?
Oh, I have been told by boomers to be nicer. Like, so
Oh,
I often just like say it too like direct and too radical. And I like anyone just say it like it's the absolute truth when I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about, do I? So I would say and boomers would hate what I've done, you know? You don't build all that and then leave it. Like you just stay miserable. So I think Gen Z loves me.
yeah.
Do
uh,
you know Dr. Nicole is incredible, parenting, like, advice, emotional safety in the home on Instagram and TikTok, huge following. I wanna take her stuff and make it Gen Z. She's like, "I'm giving advice to help you de-stress." I'm like, "I'm giving you cigarette breaks,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
mm,
healthy ones." Yeah.
yeah.
so good. Well, Dr. Chris, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you for being so incredibly open, for rewriting the rules on what leadership looks like, and for being such an inspiration to our chosen fam.
Yeah, seriously. You are the ultimate proof that you can rebuild your life on your own terms. Where can our chosen fam find you online, watch your TikToks, and support
Yeah.
everything you're doing with My Best Stress?
Thank you so much for asking that question, for having me with My Best Stress kicking off really recently and out of necessity in my own life. As you said, I appreciate just the platform, the opportunity. And on TikTok, My Best Stress is where it is. When I promote the most, they can email at mybeststress@gmail.com. Um, and if they know me and they happen to listen to this, you can follow me on Instagram, but that's still gonna be private and guarded. There's not radical vulnerability there yet, but
Not
Boundaries.
yet.
yeah, we gotta keep the kids, the family, until everything else smooths out, you know? It's a
Yeah,
Oh,
journey,
yes.
and it's gonna take
we
time.
understand.
It's a journey until the very last breath, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, chosen fam, that is our show for today. Remember to live your life out loud, keep laughing, manage that stress, and we'll catch you in the next one. Love you, mean it. Bye.
This was Out Loud and Laughing.
We're available everywhere you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeart, or wherever.